As much as I don't like to make very topical videos, at least not anymore, something happened recently that I just really wanted to talk about regarding Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm sure most of you have heard by now that the popular game reviewer and YouTube personality Angry Joe recently made a few tweets regarding Kingdom Hearts and his potential review of the game, which were met with some pretty negative feedback from the hardcore fans. And even if you personally don't follow Joe or watch his channel, chances are that you've probably seen one of the many Kingdom Hearts YouTubers make a response video for Joe trying to basically explain the situation to him. Now before you click away, I'm not just gonna repeat what those guys said because they're all basically saying the same thing. It's like, oh Joe, the Kingdom Hearts fanbase isn't that bad, don't let a few angry fans ruin your experience. And then they proceed to explain to him how they're just gonna strongly but politely suggest that he plays all the 8+ games in the series before even daring to speak about Kingdom Hearts 3. Recently, Joe made a response video to try and reason with the Kingdom Hearts fans, and he said that he'll attempt to experience the previous games from the series in some way, like watching recap videos online, in where he gave a small shout out to ya boy Frustrated Jacob. Wow Jacob, first Game Theory and now Angry Joe? That Kingdom Hearts recap video seems to be getting a lot of attention recently. But anyways, whether or not anything will ever come of this remains to be seen. I'm sure that Joe is a busy guy with many games to play and cover, and understandably, even just watching online playthroughs of all these games can be a very daunting task. Now, it's no secret that I've had my share of beef with the general Kingdom Hearts fanbase in the past, but today, I wanted to ignore all of that and talk about the bigger picture with the Kingdom Hearts community and why it's sadly not very uncommon to see things like this happen. Joe just happens to be their latest target. In general, the Kingdom Hearts fanbase sort of has this stigma around it of having nothing but die-hard fans that are not very nice, not very welcoming, and will kill you if you even say the slightest negative thing about their series. Obviously, this is a huge generalization, and like with any community, there will be all kinds of people within the fan base. The larger Kingdom Hearts YouTubers are a good example of the nicer, more accepting fans, and then the people replying to Joe's tweets are a good example of the mindless fanboys. This is not an isolated incident. This happens all the time, even to other YouTubers. For example, popular Pokemon Let's Player The King Nappy has said that he always gets attacked by Kingdom Hearts fans when he mentions that he doesn't think the series is good. So I guess on top of not being able to review the latest game without having played all the other ones, you're also not allowed to dislike the series either. Obviously, these are all examples of the more vocal, angry Kingdom Hearts fans that don't represent the entire series' fanbase, but they can't be ignored. The issue was so big, in fact, that the Gamers Joint, the biggest Kingdom Hearts channel on YouTube, had to make a video a few years back defending the Kingdom Hearts community and basically saying, come on, it's not as bad as everyone says, guys. Now, I actually have a theory that could explain why it is that the Kingdom Hearts series grew to have this stigma around its fans, what the issue here is, and how we can work on preventing things like what happened to Joe from happening again in the future. Kingdom Hearts is a very popular series, but it might not actually be as big as you might think. While Kingdom Hearts fans are very dedicated and vocal, and they have huge presences on YouTube and social media like Twitter, the series has actually sold less than 25 million copies total. This is completely dwarfed by its sister series Final Fantasy that has sold over 100 million more copies at 135, over 5 times that of Kingdom Hearts. And yet, the Final Fantasy fanbase is nowhere near as big on YouTube. I would know, I'm a part of it. So how come the Kingdom Hearts community got to be so big despite the fact that the series is relatively small compared to some others, and the games being generally pretty inaccessible to newcomers? Well, that's actually the reason why right there. See, I don't think anybody, Kingdom Hearts fan or not, can deny the fact that the series has a pretty convoluted plot with details found in small lines referenced only in secret reports or in the Ultimania books that released for the games. It has a lot of very awkward terminology and concepts that seem to shift and change with every game, and frankly, it's just very hard to keep up with. But it's actually because of that that the fans are so dedicated. See, anyone who was only half interested in the games would have been turned off by all of that and not kept going with the series. But those that stuck around were in it for the long haul. Those that were dedicated enough to play through all of Kingdom Hearts, Chain of Memories, Kingdom Hearts 2, 358 Days Over 2, Birth by Sleep, Coded, Dream Drop Distance, and then watch all the cutscenes for Kingdom Hearts Key Online, but then tell all their friends that they played it themselves, are the people who would call themselves quote-unquote Kingdom Hearts fans. Thus, this series created basically a barrier for newcomers. You either give up at the front door or you fight all the way to the end. There is no middle ground. Because of this, it's not hard to see why so many Kingdom Hearts fans adore the series as much as they do, and why they're so quick to defend it when people who, in their eyes, are simply uninformed start talking shit about it. We've all done it. Don't lie, Kingdom Hearts fans. We've all been there, watching a Kingdom Hearts video from a YouTuber that we've never seen before. You're sitting there listening to what they have to say, and then BAM! They say Xehanort instead of Xehanort, or Traverse Town instead of Traverse Town. They say that all Kingdom Hearts 2 is mashing the X button, or they call Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop Distance spin-offs. Whatever the specific thing may be, they say something that any, quote, true Kingdom Hearts fan that has spent years of their life studying the series like you have would never say. Now, while that may be enough for some people to immediately dislike and close the video, some of you might stick around, but don't lie. You're thinking about it differently. You're secretly judging them and taking everything that they say with a grain of salt because, goddammit, if they knew what they were talking about, then they would have bothered to look up the proper pronunciation, right? And that's the problem right there. You're not allowed to be a casual Kingdom Hearts fan. It either becomes your entire life or the fan base will kick you out themselves. And I honestly can't help but put part of the blame on Square Enix themselves, and specifically the writers. That's right, I'm looking at you, Nomura. Let's face it, the Kingdom Hearts franchise is not a very accessible one, and when you have a big release coming out for the series, you just have to accept the fact that some people are gonna play Kingdom Hearts 3 without knowing absolutely anything about the series prior, and that's fine. That's fine. Okay, trust me, you will live knowing that those people out there exist. You will be fine. The problem here is that Square Enix has made a very big push for this game recently, especially starting in E3. We got 3 trailers for the game at 3 separate conferences, 2 Disney Worlds confirmed, and a 4th trailer behind closed doors, not to mention an actual playable demo at the show, 2 in fact. And while that's all fine and good, it's honestly kind of to be expected. Many people who never have played any of the previous games are starting to become interested in this new one. And you know what? If the Kingdom Hearts 3 trailers look interesting to them and they go out there and they buy the HD remixes, play all of them, enjoy them, buy Kingdom Hearts 3 and end up loving it, then good for them. That's great. They were able to find a new series that they enjoy. But just because you put the time into playing and watching those other games and you ended up liking the series, doesn't mean that everyone else wants to or even has the ability to. Cough, cough. Xbox players, time is precious, and some people don't have the 100 hours that it'll take to become an expert on the series just to understand Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, make no mistake, the developers are very much to blame for this. They're pushing the game, trying to get people to buy it and introducing it to new customers, but at the same time, they have a plot that requires 8 other games and your own separate research to understand, and frankly, that's just bad design. Now, many people make the argument that this is to be expected, since it is Kingdom Hearts 3 after all, so jumping into it expecting to understand everything is not really reasonable. You wouldn't be able to jump straight into the final Harry Potter film, for example, and expect to know everything going on, right? Well, I have a few arguments to make against that. First of all, while yes, it would be confusing to jump into the final entry of a film franchise or the season finale of a TV show, Kingdom Hearts 3 takes it to a whole other level. You could likely have a friend explain to you what's going on in the last Harry Potter film and kinda get the gist of it, but with Kingdom Hearts, you need to be an absolute expert just to comprehend the base fundamental setup for this game, and even then you'll probably still be confused. But also, you can't really compare films and books to video games. It's relatively easy to go back and read the previous books or watch the previous films in a franchise because they're a lot easier to get, but with video games, it's a whole different story. Game systems and versions are things that people have to deal with, not to mention the primary form of content in which a video game is presented in, gameplay. And because of this, it's not that rare to run into series like Pokemon or Grand Theft Auto or Final Fantasy or Assassin's Creed, where each game basically has its own completely unique plot, and often installments in those franchises just feel like different or more refined versions of the last. You don't see that as much in films or books, so it's not crazy for someone to want to jump into the Kingdom Hearts series with the third installment, which brings us back to Angry Joe. Now, some people said, alright, fine, Joe, if you want to play the third game without experiencing the others, then that's up to you. But where people started to take an issue is when he said that he would criticize the game if the story was really that hard to get into. Some people think that this is unfair because he did this to himself by jumping straight into the third game, but I have to take Joe's side on this one. The way that Square Enix is marketing this game, they wanted everyone, yes, even new players, to get this game. I mean, some Kingdom Hearts fans have gone as far as to say that they think Kingdom Hearts 3 will be the best-selling game in the series, which is heavily unlikely, but it also directly contradicts you guys' own logic. If everyone needs to have played the previous games to even touch Kingdom Hearts 3, then wouldn't Kingdom Hearts 3 sell less than all the others by default? If Joe and others like him are not allowed to give their opinions on this, then the only people who are those who have already played the previous 8 or so games, aka the people who are already hardcore Kingdom Hearts fans would buy the third game no matter what, and are already, at least initially, biased because it's a series that they already love, regardless of all the obstacles one must go through to get to that point. Essentially, what I'm saying is that only people who will be positive are allowed to give their opinion and not anyone else. Yeah, that seems pretty fair, guys. Here's the thing. It's not like Joe is gonna go into his review pretending to be a Kingdom Hearts expert, trying to fool everyone and then shitting all over the plot because he's evil and wants the game to fail. Like, no, obviously he would disclose the fact that he hasn't played the previous games at the beginning of his review. He is a professional and it's just common sense. And guess what? If people are willing to play 8 other games just to enjoy this one, then one bad review isn't gonna change that. And if they've already played those other 8 games, then chances are they already bought Kingdom Hearts 3 and are just watching the review for fun. But you know who this review would affect though? The people who don't want to deal with all of those other games. Maybe there's a guy out there who has a little bit of free time and he wants to enjoy a nice 40-ish hour RPG for 2 or 3 weeks on his PS4. He heard about this Kingdom Hearts series and is willing to give it a try. He buys Kingdom Hearts 3, but ends up disappointed because he had no clue what the hell was going on with anything related to the plot, and he doesn't have time to sink into 8 other games. Joe's review as an outsider playing this game for the first time would have been very helpful, unless you're suggesting that somehow it's okay to trick people into buying games that you know they won't be able to fully enjoy just so your series can sell better. That's terrible. Now, obviously, on a fundamental level, it's Joe's channel and he can really do whatever the hell he wants, but I don't think that it's the slightest bit unfair for him to rant about the plot or deduct points from the final score if his enjoyment of the game was really hurt that bad because of it. Maybe people will see his review and realize that they better get to playing the other games in the series before they try this one. Or maybe finding out that you need all of those other games is a deal breaker for them and they won't waste money on something that they wouldn't have enjoyed. Whatever the case may be, Joe helped the consumer with their choice on buying a product, which as a reviewer is literally his job. This is so basic, I can't believe I'm actually having to explain this, but it's gotten so ridiculous. If the plot hurts the game experience for newcomers that much, then it just means that Square failed their job as storytellers. Unless they were only making this game for the die-hard fans, which is clearly not true considering how much coverage it got at E3, like I mentioned earlier. I don't know. Maybe I just think that game developers should know the people that they're marketing the game to and deliver on what they're seemingly promising. Maybe I just think that game reviewers should be diverse and not all biased to provide different point of views for different consumers. But what do I know, I guess? I'm just an idiot on the internet.